It's Tim McCarver, his final All-Star game, and I believe his 22nd All-Star game, and he joins us now. How you feeling, Timmy?
I feel great, Dan. How about you?
I'm okay.
Good.
Okay. Yeah, I'm all right. I'm a little. I'm surprised with reaction to Yasiel Puig not being in the All-Star game. I thought that he would get picked, and I know
I didn't.
How come?
Well, I didn't think he spent enough time in the big leagues. I mean, 5 weeks does not an All-Star make, in my view. And that said, Dan, I understand the business of baseball. I understand Major League Baseball wanting him in the game, but I just think Freddie Freeman was more deserving. However, with that said, once Freeman becomes hurt, it would seem to me that Puig, who was the next guy in the voting, should have gotten the job over Brian McCann. But from what I understand, that was Bruce Bochy's pick. It reverted back to Bruce Bochy's pick, and McCann became the guy. But I think there's a discrepancy with the voting process.
Okay, but you don't think this has anything to do with Giants-Dodger rivalry, right?
Oh no. Why Bochy didn't pick him?
Yeah.
No, not at all. No, I don't think it has a thing to do with that.
But don't you want to see? Now you're calling the game. You want ratings. People will tune in to see Yasiel Puig.
No question about it.
Okay, let's say Max Scherzer was a rookie.
All right.
And he started out 13-0.
All right.
Should he be in the All-Star game?
If he were a rookie, yes. That's because he was 13-0, and he pitched for his team for the first half of the season. He didn't come up June 3rd, and that's just not enough time to establish yourself as an all-star.
Well, I also think it's a reality show that we're creating here. That you want people to watch the game, and you get a guy who is going to help you win. The game matters now. It's home field advantage, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you can't say that the selection of Freddie Freeman is not going to help you win the game any more than Yasiel Puig.
But he would help me better than Brian McCann.
Maybe,
okay.
Unless you run out of catchers. Of course, you can bring a catcher back in an All-Star game. So
it doesn't make any. That's why I didn't think it made any sense. And I know that people said, "Well, this is an agenda-driven." The Braves were upset. They thought the national media was playing up Yasiel Puig. I just thought there was a Bo Jackson feel to Yasiel Puig, and I wanted to see him in the game.
Yeah, well, I certainly understand that, and Joe Buck feels the same way as you did, but and so does Ken Rosenthal, as a matter of fact. And I told him on the air a couple of weeks ago, it's not like I'm not going to show up if Puig does. I'm not going to be protesting the game, carrying a placard outside Citi Field. But anyway, I mean, I think it's interesting. I think another interesting point, Dan, along those lines is I'm not sure that Major League Baseball wants a solution to that problem. For instance, if they were to say, if a guy comes up after May 20th, or pick a date, after May 20th he's not eligible for the All-Star game. But this way, it keeps the controversy alive up until today on your show, and I'm sure we'll talk about it tomorrow night, once or twice.
Okay, wait a minute. But why is
what I'm saying?
Yes.
I don't think Major League Baseball wants a solution to this problem because it's fun for them, and maybe they're right in that thinking.
Well, why can Ichiro be eligible for Rookie of the Year after spending 6 years in Japan?
No, that's not a comparable situation, in my view.
Well, what I'm saying is we have these unwritten rules here.
True.
That's the problem I have with it. If they said if you come up after the end of April, you're not eligible for the All-Star game. Okay, that's fine. Then at least I understand something like that. I just think they're sort of making up the rules as they go, their guidelines as they go along.
Well, I mean, in Ichiro's case, it was his first year in the major leagues in the United States. He was a rookie.
Yeah.
It was his first year.
Okay.
So
if Puig started opening day,
right,
and put up these numbers, you feel different?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course, because he played the the better part of the year, or was available to play since opening day. Absolutely, I'd feel differently.
He's Tim McCarver. Will be calling the game with Joe Buck tomorrow night on Fox, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. What happened to Don Mattingly being fired? Like like we had the week that he was going to be fired, maybe the day he was going to be. Like what happened to him? Now all of a sudden he became a better manager because like his players got healthy. How silly is that?
Dan, I couldn't agree with you more. I've always thought that was the most ridiculous thing in the world. And baseball, it seems, is the worst sport for that type of rumor mongering. That a manager's got to go. Or Mike Scioscia was the same way. I mean, You got two managers within a 35-mile radius of one another, and they were both supposed to be fired. Scioscia was supposed to take over the Dodgers. That's what Southern California was lobbying for, so we heard. And it's ridiculous. I mean, a manager. I mean, people used to talk about how a manager is worth 10 or 12 victories a year. I never understood how they could say that. I don't think a manager's worth any victories a year or any losses a year. I think he has management skills, but the guys who play the game between the lines are responsible for wins and losses. Now, the manager might be responsible for the selection of the guys that play between the lines, but ultimately they're the guys who get the job done. If the guy's not doing a good job selecting the right players, then you get rid of him, not because a team has a losing streak or something like that.
Have you seen any difference in competitiveness, morale-wise, as far as these players who are staying for the game, wanting, because it used to be you played your 3 innings and you were on your
They
private.
take their jets home and stuff like that. Yes, I think we've seen that. Yeah. I think the game's more important. You can say a lot of things since this time it counts when it came into vogue in 2003. But the players take it, I think, a little more seriously now. And these guys, you got to remember, they're professional competitors too, and they don't want to. They don't want to make outs, and the pitchers don't want them to get hits, and that's going to remain the same throughout the game's history. I understand all the criticisms of the All-Star game and things like that, but baseball still continues to have the best one by far, in my view.
Do you think we'll ever get to the point where what is happening with baseball will bring Pete Rose back into a positive light with what happened with him, that he's still on the outside looking? Is there anything that – I mean, we've had more than 2 black guys for Major League Baseball, but is there any point where Pete actually looks better than what he has in the last 30 years?
I don't think so, Dan. And the reason is because of his offense. His offense is paramount as far as the game's continuation is concerned. And my view, and I think the majority of the view of the people connected to the game. I don't, however, understand why we can't show Pete Rose footage on the air. I think Pete Rose rounding first base. Pete Rose taught me more about base running than any player I was ever around, and I was with him for 1 year.
Wait a minute.
1979.
You can't show video?
We can't show video. Major League Baseball does not like us showing video of Pete Rose on our air.
Why?
And from my understanding, ESPN too. So
what? Hold on here.
Well, I agree.
But Tim,
why can't we?
The way I look at Pete Rose is what he did in if you were looking at this, he goes to college. He goes 4 years, and he's one of the greatest students ever. He cheated in grad school when he was a manager. He got caught betting on games. I can't take away what he did as a baseball player. I can keep him out of.
Yeah, but then no. I don't take away what he did as a baseball player either. But I do take away what he did. I mean, that's deplorable, and you just, you can't. Had Pete said, for instance, had he approached it differently, I think everybody agrees with that. Had he said, I did bet on baseball. I'm sorry. I I think all would have been forgiven. But he didn't do that.
But why do we let people say the following? Well, Bonds was a Hall of Famer before he started using.
I don't know. I'm not one of those
There's
people.
no difference in Pete was a Hall of Famer before he started betting on baseball.
That's a point well taken. But I don't have an answer to that.
All right. Well, work on that answer, will you?
Okay.
And I'll work on some Pete Rose video for you.
Yeah, do that.
I mean, I grew up in Cincinnati. I mean,
listen, listen. There's no bigger fan of baseball than Pete Rose than me. As far as Pete Rose is concerned, playing against him all those years, we were contemporaries. I played, almost. Well, not. I played about 80% of the years against Pete, and 1 year with him, and I had all the respect in the world as a baseball player.
Do you think he was betting on games when he was playing?
I do.
Betting against the teams he was playing on?
I bet he. I think anything is possible
with Pete.
Yes, I think Pete thought he was bigger than the game, and because of that, it destroyed his life from a public standpoint, and unfortunately he'll take that to the grave because I don't think he's ever stands a chance of getting into the Hall of Fame.
Well, have fun tomorrow night. And,
all right, Dan.
Hey, and thank you for everything you've given to the game. I know you don't want to do this farewell swan song stuff, but thank you.
Yeah, I don't. I appreciate that, and I know you're very sincere about that, and thank you very much.
Have fun tomorrow.
All right, sure will.
All right, buddy. That's
Tim
Bye. McCarver. The 84th Major League Baseball All-Star Game tomorrow night exclusively on Fox. Coverage starts at 7:30 Eastern. Tim and Joe, their 15th All-Star Game, most by any duel in sports history.